Good afternoon, Sonia. How are you?
Good afternoon, Donald. I'm fine, thank you.
I always start off by thanking people for agreeing to participate in this project we've got going, the Forgotten Generation. So I'm saying a big thank you to you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be part of what you're doing. I actually looked into some of your work and what you're doing, and it's a great thing that you're doing. Really,
Thank you
really
very much. Thank you. Well, I have a series of questions, and we're just going to go down the road and have a chat. And I'm going to start off, if you'd like to tell me where you were born, time and country and place and all of that.
Well, I was born here in the UK, Marston Green Hospital. I was born in 1963.
Okay. When you say here, is that Birmingham?
Birmingham, sorry. In the UK.
Birmingham, UK. No problem. Yeah. The second city, Birmingham, eh? Yeah. So can you tell us a bit more about like your parents and your siblings?
Yeah, well, my mom and dad, they're Jamaicans. Dad came over before mom, similar to some of what I read in your book. But yeah, my dad came over before mom and sort of set up a home and got work and then sent for my mom. And there's 8 of us altogether, siblings here in the UK. My dad's got had 4 other children before previously. But there's altogether there's 13 of us. So if I said 4 or 5, yeah, 5. So there's 13 of us altogether, mainly girls, predominantly girls, and 2 boys.
11 girls and 2 boys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Dad and Mom, I say. So that's fantastic. So, what were your school years like? You know, can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, school was very exciting for me. I was sort of like, I had difficulties to be honest. My sisters, they were sort of, I used to always say that they're brighter than me, but at the end of the day, I'm a risk taker and I'm more intelligent than them. Because they all went through the educational system in the sort of right way, but I had difficulties at school. Junior school was fine, but when I actually went into senior school, secondary, I went to whole comprehensive at the time, and I find it difficult with reading. I had problems with reading. I'm more of a practical person, and did art. I did art and craft. So I did a mural on a whole wall at school. So I was known for art, yeah. I was known for the artistic side of myself, and I did hairdressing and anything that I can use my hand with. I'm more practical and creative, yeah.
So what would you put down your difficulty to when you mentioned something about reading? Did you
I thought I was dyslexic at first, but then I realized that it was sort of lazy. It's not giving enough time to reading. When I see too many words on a page, I was just uninterested.
Right.
So it sort of got me in trouble a lot. So I ended up in this sort of a place called a unit. And I did a lot of my work on a one-to-one with some of the teachers and stuff like that.
Is that a behavioral unit? Is that what they call it?
That's what they called it. But saying that, it wasn't just because of my reading and when other children realize that you lack something, they tend to want to bully you for it, or
yes.
So that's how I ended up in the unit, because I'd fight them for calling me names or picking on me or anything like that. So that's how I ended up in that, really, more so than the reading. So
what you say is that you stood up for yourself, right? And you
definitely, yeah.
Did any of the other siblings sort of get into trouble like that, or were you known for being the one? Yeah.
I think I was known for being the one. I was known for being the one that got in trouble a lot. Yeah.
So what did Mom and Dad say about that sort of thing then? Did they sort of you know.
Mom and dad tried to guide me in the right way. I mean, I wasn't sort of violent or anything, but I'd stand up for myself. So I always have an opinion. That was me. I always had an opinion. So, you know, people will tell me one thing, but I said, but, you know, that was me with my opinion, you know, because I wanted my opinion to be heard. If you tease me and pick on me for no reason, obviously I'm going to retaliate.
Yes,
So
yes.
why I would always try to explain, and then they would say to me, but you should do this because you work and you're not learning enough because you're ending up in that, you know, and the teachers want you to, you know, so it was things like that. Sonny was always a bright child, very creative, but she just not, you know, this is what they used to say about me in my reports.
So talking about being a bright child then, were you ambitious at that time to achieve anything at all? Did you?
Very ambitious, very creative. I always come up with ideas. I think I was a little entrepreneur. I would try and, even when I went to America, I went to America in a teenage time. And what I did was, when I got my spending money, I started to buy things that was different from here, you know, in the UK, and then I would sell them.
All right.
I used to sell things and I would create things. I'd do hairdressing at home and I'd earn my little money. And I was very creative. One of my first painting that I did a painting. I copied a Lowry painting.
Okay.
And I sold that for £50. That was one of my first painting that I sold.
Oh my goodness. So how did you feel to create a painting and then sell it for £50? I mean, you know.
It was amazing, because I felt as if, you know, somebody recognized some of the work that I did. I copied another one, I think Wings of Love it was called, with a man and a woman. It was a blue with a swan.
Yes.
A man standing. I did Wings of Love. My mom had that hanging in her house for ages. You know,
and I bet a lot of people probably visited your house and they didn't know that you'd done that.
No. Yeah, but
That's
there was
amazing.
a lot.
Yeah. So did you have any ambitions of, you know, any sort of a profession as such, you know, what you really, really wanted to do?
Well, I thought what I wanted to really do at one point was creative side. Needed to do art, because I went to Bourneville School of Art and Craft. But they kept saying that art is not going to give me any money, it's not going to do anything. So then I was sort of looking at the interior decorating side of things.
Really?
I like that sort of thing. I like, even now, you know, I go to the home shows and stuff like that. I love to see beautiful old buildings and stuff. It's like this one that we're in, it's an old building, you know, and I love to see things like that, creative side. And then I went into hairdressing. I took up hairdressing as a career.
Okay, so
led me to where I am now.
So is it immediately after school? That's what you did, hairdressing?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Yeah.
I started.
Sorry, go on.
I started working in a few shops part-time, British Home Stores, then a scout shop. That's how I started knowing the scouts waddles and their ties and the colors, and I started recognizing the different clubs and stuff, but then it went away after I left.
Oh, right. So hairdressing was the thing that the job that you started out as an adult into the community then. How long did you do that for?
I did it until I expected my son. And then I found that it was too much for me to stand on my legs. So it wasn't for long. I didn't do it for long. I trained. I didn't get my actual practical theory, because I said with the teaching side, but my teachers from Solihull College just thought that I was amazing with my hand, what I created. And when they used to come in, the elderly, they used to always ask me, ask for the small Sonia. Although I was the oldest in the class, I was the littlest. And they would say, there was two of us, two Sonias, and they would say, the little Sonia, I want her to do my hair because my hands are quite firm and massaging.
All right, okay.
And that's how I ended up doing hairdressing. It paid.
Nice. Yeah. And from hairdressing then, what did you do from hairdressing?
Well, from hairdressing, after I had my son, I wanted to go into nursing to do what my sisters were doing and stuff. I did apply, but I didn't get through. So when I didn't get through, I just said, you know what, I don't know what I needed to do. So I stayed at home for a bit, did some babysitting for friends and family. And then my mom said there was a job at her place, which was a place called Guidex. We did stationery.
Oh,
Yeah, worked in a factory. I always said I will never go in a factory.
yes.
So my mom got the job for me, and I worked there just for a little while. Just for about a year. I worked there for 6 years, but I worked there for a year on the factory floor doing the factory. And I said, this is not for me. I can't do this. And a job came up internally.
Okay.
For a quality inspector of
Nice.
So I went for it and I got it.
All right.
So I worked as a quality inspector in a stationery firm, and that was lovely. I loved that. Yeah, that was really nice. So I started inspecting my mom's work and everybody else's on the factory.
Really?
Yeah.
How
And I
did
would
mommy
send
feel?
them back. Yeah.
How did mommy feel about you inspecting her work?
My mom, she was quite pleased, but she used to say to me that, you know, you're gonna go for that job, the woman on the floor, they're not gonna like it, you know, they don't, you know, they're not gonna like you sending them work back. And I says, Mom, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me, and I know that I'm doing the job right, so I won't be sending it back if you don't need to go back.
Right,
So
right.
I just sort of ignored the gossip and, oh, she's joined them in the office now, and I ignored all of that and just carried on because it was for me and my children. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't for me, it was for them. You know,
And what's important really is that when you're doing a job like that, there is a certain standard to maintain.
Yes.
And if that standard is not maintained, then you're letting the whole company down.
Yes. Yeah.
So the bigger picture really is what they needed to see. That's just how I see that, you know. Yeah. So yeah, well done on sticking to your guns. And you said you did that for 6 years?
Yeah.
So what did you do after that?
The company had a massive fire.
Oh.
And burnt down. I was in Jamaica at the time, and they were making people redundant.
Right.
So I was one of them that was made redundant after a long while, with getting rid of a lot of other people. But my mum and my sisters, nobody told me I had the 2 kids in Jamaica. So they said they didn't want to ruin my holiday. So when I came back, I was made redundant. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
No job, 2 kids and house.
Yeah. Talking about Jamaica then, you know, you're born in England, of Jamaican parentage. How do you feel? How do you see yourself in terms of, are you English, British Jamaican, or how do you see yourself?
I see myself as British Jamaican. The reason why I say that it's clear to me to say that. I've got my British passport, and I've also citizenship, and I've also got my Jamaican passport and my Jamaican citizenship.
Oh wow, that's excellent. Yeah, fantastic.
So I see myself.
And so you're very much linked to your roots then, in terms of your parents' heritage.
Yes. Yeah.
And what about your children? Are they?
Oh, my children are the same.
Really?
They are the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So they too have visited Jamaica probably a couple of times or something?
Yeah. Quite a few times. Yeah. Quite a few times they've visited with me and without me, on their own now because they're adults as well. We came back from Jamaica October. We went to Jamaica October.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's just really good, because I do ask people these questions about how do they see themselves, and I get varied answers as to how people see themselves, you know, whether they are English, British, Jamaican, all that sort of thing. So that's why I asked the question. So after your redundancy then, what happened? So
after the redundancy, like I said, I stayed home and did some odd jobs here and there, and nothing definite. Then my sister Karen said there was somebody opening a small care home in Trinity Road in Aston. And they wanted somebody who was creative, because I did flower arranging as well. They wanted somebody who was creative, who could do some massage and stuff like that, and probably do a little flower arranging class. They just wanted some form of activity. So I met the manager, and when I met him, straight away, the interviews just were so quick. He said, "No, you've got the job. No, I want you." And I said, okay, but the place wasn't open straight away. So we started backward and forward for a bit until it opened. And then I started doing hand massage on the residents and cutting their hairs. Yeah.
So that's he obviously saw straight away that there was something in you that suited that kind of work. And you obviously like that caring side of life, right?
Yeah, love it, but I didn't know how much I was gonna get into it, and it developed so much from my love for these people with learning disabilities. It developed from there, definitely.
Wow, that's really, really good. And then from there, you went further to getting your own business, or was there like a gap between all of that?
I did six years there, and then
All
after
right.
6 years, I was recognized by a clinical psychologist, a social worker, and the behavioral support team, because of the way I dealt with the resident, treated the residents, my hand massage. These are people with very, very complex needs, and the behavioral side of things, sometimes you just need more than one carer to care for them. But with me, there was a sense of calm,
Okay.
and how I dealt with them. And this is what they told me, that there was a sense of calm whenever I'm in the room or I'm making that contact, that touch, that feel. I mean, I remember a resident, I used to massage his hand and he used to spit at people, and when I actually got to him and massaged his hand and just rubbed his forehead, because he used to bang his head was out there. He looked up at me and he started blowing. And then the behavioral support team said it's a sign of affection,
Really?
He was happy. Instead of spitting, he was blowing to show me that, he was being calm, being smooth. It was just, calm, tranquil for him.
And that was all instinctive for you to
Yeah.
just instinctively do those things for him.
Yeah, that was
Wow.
just me. And the connection that we have, I just sat with him. And I think that's something as well. Contact is very important to people who are tactile.
Yes.
And that, I don't think they were getting that, not from what I saw earlier in the stage, and just sitting with them. And I think even the behavior support team asked me if I had a degree, because they wanted me to join their team. And that was one of the criteria. And I said, no, I haven't. Get a degree, Sonia, because we'd love to have you on our team. And
really. So obviously you developed from there into more and more of that world.
Yeah.
And is that then what led you to have your own business?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's quite a thing, isn't it? Were you ambitious to say that I want my own business one day, or is that something that you just gradually worked itself into?
I've always said, when I got to a certain age, I'd love to work for myself.
Okay.
Whatever I did, but I didn't see myself working for myself in a care home.
Oh,
I
right.
didn't think I had that academic ability to understand all these documents and all these legalities and all that came with it, and the regulations and stuff. So if somebody was saying to me that what you're going to do for your own business, I wouldn't have chosen a care home. It just developed. Developed with the care inside, and as it went along, I learned. As I went along, I went on training. I did all sorts until I met people who would tell me that you need this, you need that. So whatever I needed, I got it in place. Yeah.
Wow. And then acquiring a place. I mean, got the idea and all of that. Acquiring a place and all of that. That's not always easy, is it?
No, but it was. I think because it was my purpose.
Right.
I believed in faith, and I think this was my purpose, because to get this building that we've got now, years ago, I wouldn't be able to afford it. There's no way, but we got this building for 94,000, a 6-bedroom Victorian house, with acres of land at the back.
Oh, what?
94,000. Isn't that a miracle? And at the end of the day, I had no money.
Oh my
So many.
God.
So I
How
put
did you
my
manage
own,
that then?
what I did was I put my own 3-bedroom at the time. 3-bedroom has up as collateral.
Oh,
So if it never pulled through, I'd have lost the house, and that's it. But it did.
and that's what you're talking about at the beginning of this conversation, to say that you're one of those who took risks. No risk, no reward, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, when you do something like that, I mean, as you go up in stages, then it gets more and more rewarding, but it's still a very hard world, isn't it? In terms of, going from A to B to Z, in terms of experiencing along the way. There must have been some tough times.
Oh yeah, there's been some crying times.
Okay.
Inspection, when I had inspection, that was difficult. The care home that I was at, when I left, it closed down. They had to move the residents because I was doing everything. I found myself that the managers were so believing in me that he left me to do a lot of stuff that I didn't even understand myself, blinded.
All right.
So I was actually advised by other people that what I'm doing there I could do for myself. Do you know what I
Because
mean?
you were like running the place by
Yes.
yourself, although you went,
Yes.
oh, right, okay.
It
So
is
that was a
confident.
confident thing to go forward with then, really.
Yeah, yeah. So I sort of turned a negative because it started to get to me, because trying to do inspections, which the drilling as it is, and documentation and answering questions that I didn't feel that I should have been asked. The manager should have been there to answer those, but I went through the whole thing. And after I went through the whole thing and got myself all stressed up and worked up, I spoke to one of my sisters, one of my older sisters, and she said, you know what, learn as much as you can, because you never know when you're going to need this. And that's what I turned the negative into a positive and
Brilliant.
start learning. So that was the reason why I was left, as far as I'm concerned, for me to learn.
Fantastic. That's a line I always use. There is always a positive to a negative. Only sometimes, a lot of times, we don't recognize the positive when we see it, because it's not always immediate. So yeah, so excellent. So really that gave you the sort of the background, is the standing to actually move forward and set up your own company, and you got a building for £94,000, which is like that's a godsend, that is.
Yeah, 94,000. Wow.
Yeah. And even then, it can't be easy, because you've got to get that up and running and getting customers in, and getting staff in and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
because I started with a business partner. I didn't think I was going to have a business partner at the time. She worked where we worked at the other care home, and she was doing the bookkeeping there, and I told her about my ideas, and that's what I'd like to do. I mean, she was believing in me as well. And one day she just came up and she said to me that, Son, would you think about having a partner? And I said, partner for what? She said, your business. And I says, I don't even know if I'm going to go ahead with it. It's just an idea that I've got, and I don't know if I'm going to go ahead with it. She said, because I'd like to, be a partner. I can see you doing this and stuff. So didn't even go to the bank really to ask the bank if they would give us the money for the mortgage and stuff. I put my house as collateral, and what she did was she had a couple of thousand, she put that in. But she more or less convinced me that I couldn't have done it on my own. Right. But I later on found out I could have.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I could have. So she more or less convinced me that I couldn't. We lasted 6 years. I don't know how we lasted that long, because total opposite to each other. All the plans that we had, everything that I thought I was going to do, she just squashed it as well as we got the business. And she was an older lady to me, an English lady, a white lady. And we were both in the same sort of Christian church and stuff, and everything was hunky-dory there. But money is the root of all evil at times. I mean, I know we need it, but money can change people. And I can see, when I say change, I mean change physically in their faces, you can see a change, you know. So she was the bookkeeper. So I would stay back and do most of the work. And she would, because I was a hand-on manager, and she would deal with all the funds and stuff. And she did deal with all the funds.
There's a message in that line there.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you know, in life we live and we learn, don't we?
Oh, yes, definitely.
You know, and, you know, if it doesn't sort of send us to a grave, often it makes us stronger, right? Because we learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
You know. So I guess after 6 years, there was a sort of a parting of the wave between you both.
Yeah.
And you carried on.
I had to start all over again, but we
started over again.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had to pay her out, and because there was a lot of investigation and stuff that was going on, but there was, if I had to prove certain things, I would have to have gone down another route.
Right.
So yes, we just sort of part ways, and I just paid her out, and started again. But you know what? It didn't matter, because it was where I was supposed to be, and it was the best thing ever. You know, the money that I paid her was nothing to me. It was a lot, but in all the 25 years that I've been here, she's always said, her husband said to me, I know you're going to make it. And we've trebled, doubled, quadrupled that money, you know, it's gone. And I started again, but I knew I wanted to start again, because I knew this was my dream. It wasn't hers.
Right.
You know, so sometimes we have to be very careful when you have your own dreams for somebody to come and step into it. Because
that's quite a message there. Sorry. Yeah. And, you know, quite a few people have been bitten like that, what you say, and some don't actually recover from it. So it's a testament to you for your resilience and self-belief in going forward and achieving, starting all over again.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to be easy, because I mean, you got a family, right? You had a family.
Yeah, 2 children.
And you had to look after your family and go through all that ups and downs, ins and outs, and dealing with all those terrible times. How was that? How did you manage that? It
was very difficult. I mean, I developed high blood pressure from it, because I never had that before. And at one point I thought I was going to have a stroke. That's how bad it was. The staff who was working for us at the time, we had quite a few staff, and they said that if I go, they're gonna go, because I was telling her she should take it and I'll go and start again somewhere else. But she knew that the business was me, so she couldn't take it. She didn't know what she would have been doing. So she said no, and she was older than me, well older. I'm coming up to her 60s at the time. I mean, I was in my 30s. Yeah, and she took the agreement was for me to manage the place, but she took forefront. I mean, one of the inspectors said they thought that it was her care home, and she employed me as the manager, because she didn't have the qualification and I did. Even once she invited us to her daughter's wedding, and when we went to the daughter's wedding, it was in Litchfield. We all was there, and then she said the residents were invited, so we took some of the residents. It's very diverse residents we've got as well, culturally. And we went. She says there's an elderly white couple came up to us and says, to me and my partner at the time, the kid's dad, oh, you're the couple that works for, and call their names. Work for. And I went, oh, so we were working for them. Do you know what I mean? I was even told by one of the granddaughter, her little girl, she was 7 at the time, I think. My grandma said, this is our inheritance.
Really?
Yeah, in the office, my office. She was sitting in one of our office chair. My grandmother said, this is our inheritance.
Oh my God.
I went, okay. I didn't realize that. So I was blinded by all of that, because I always trust people, and I thought it was that we were working. So I was working flat out. And the fact that they lived in Rugeley, Litchfield side, and we lived here, Brown Hill, they lived, and we lived here, they would expect us to open up in the morning, and they were just strolling when they felt like it. They said they would do missionary work. They went away to Tunisia every so often. We never went on any holidays.
Oh my goodness.
Working and working until when it came to the crunch that we was shutting down. I mean, when we first started to open up, we cleaned the place, and myself and her was doing one of the big bedrooms upstairs. And she fell back on the bed. Now, I think that was a warning then. I should have took it then. She said, I worked as hard as blacks today.
I beg your pardon?
I've never heard that term before. I came running down the stairs and called my partner and called her husband. I says, do you know what she just said? She worked as hard as blacks today. Oh my, I was so shocked. So shocked.
And she said it.
Yeah.
Without even thinking.
Yeah, because that's
that
her
she's
role.
talking to a black person.
Yeah. And her husband said, I'm sure she didn't say that. So when she came down, because they're Christians, so say, when they came down, and I thought she was all standing there, the four of us, he said, did you say that? She said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I thought she was going to deny it, but she didn't. Yeah. Worked as hard as blacks. Where's that come from?
Oh my God. And sometimes you think you know people, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, because I thought I knew. I thought she was really genuine.
Oh my goodness. What a statement.
Yeah, her plan was to work for a bit, retire, because she was coming up to 60, retire, and then get me to work for her and I would get so much percentage and she would get the rest. So she was sitting at home and I'll be working for her. So I said, not under your dead body. No way. No way. It's not going to happen.
So you would get people visiting you and thinking that you were the lackey, you were the ones that just helping out when they come to see. They think. Yeah,
the bank manager thought she was the manager. So that when they came, they didn't speak to me. I knocked the door once to come in because they were going through our accounts. The accountant that she got an accountant for us, but she was a bookkeeper. So we needed an accountant, an approved accountant to sign off our documents. So I came into the office, and when I came to it, he looked up at me like, he said, oh, sorry, this is a private meeting. Wow. And I went, you what? Because he didn't know I was the business partner.
Yeah, my God.
So I said, well, I'm a partner in this business, and I came in, and sat there. The bank manager didn't know, even the inspector didn't know that I was the registered man, and it's my name on the certificate.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because she, even though she said, when we started, she'll do the bookkeeping and she'll just follow me. She knew nothing. So when I zipped my mouth, when I realized what was going on, I zipped my mouth, anything that was going on, I said, you deal with it, because she didn't have a clue. So that's why I stayed home and locked myself up in my house, told her to run the business. I told her to run the business, and the staff put their coats on. I wrote them all a letter, and I wrote all the family a letter, and I wrote the behavioral support team to come in to support the residents, because I'm shutting down.
You went as far as that?
Yeah. That's how far I had to go to show her that I was serious. I said, you know what? You can do what you want to do, but I'm just going to go off and just start again because I've got the qualifications. I can do what I want. You go and do what you want. She begged me and begged me. I says, no, her behavior was bad. And because at one point she threw everything at me and said, you're the manager, manage it. That's before she realized how serious I was going to take it, to say that I don't want to work with you. I couldn't work with you. She called one of the guys that we had. He had cerebral palsy, but he was a black guy in a wheelchair, and he used to drink special brew, and sometimes he can get a bit verbally, and sometimes he can get a bit abusive. And he came out of his wheelchair once and climbing up the stairs, because even though he had a downstairs bedroom, he would climb through the window, climb through the door, and he would try to go to pubs and stuff and everything.
Wow.
So when he was going up the stairs, she said, get down here, you little monkey. And one of the staff heard her.
Seriously?
Yeah, one of the staff heard her. Some of the stuff that she did, even when I reported some of it to inspection to say, this is why we're closing, they said it's a personal matter. You've got to deal with it yourself. It's not okay. It's your, so we had to deal with it ourselves. Because I had to contact them. Oh, sorry about the phone.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So, I'm listening to all of this, and I'm just thinking that must have taken some serious toll on you as an individual, a mom with kids and family, and having to deal with that. That's pretty tough. So you recovered from that, and I'm not sort of, washing over it, because it's very difficult to actually come from that. And you started to move on again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And you're here today as proof, and things are, how good is it?
Things are going good. You know, I've got some personal issues that I'm going through, but as for the business, it's doing well.
That's really very commendable, because, as we go through life and face all these trials and tribulations, you are a certain example and a role model for any young lady, young man, who wants to achieve. Listening to this story, tell them straight, you're gonna meet some hurdles. You're gonna either knock them down, get over them, under them, but you're gonna meet them, and that's what it takes to get on. Fantastic! I really, really applaud you. Tell us about your award. I believe you got awards or award.
I had several awards.
Oh my goodness, love that. Love
several awards. But the one that I really, really, really was surprised about was my BEM, my British Empire Medal that I got from the palace. So yeah, I was absolutely surprised about that one. Yeah.
So obviously somebody somewhere recommended you for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And I guess that in itself is quite something, isn't it? Because you had to go to the palace to get it?
Yes, I did. With my daughter. My daughter escorted me. So that was, the experience was overwhelming, because there was loads of people. There was thousands of people there.
Right.
A lot of people, and we had a meal. There was little bunches of stuff and drinks and stuff being served. It was lovely. The experience was really good. We bought our dresses and our hats and everything else, and it was really nice. I took a lovely picture in the Queen's Garden, which is in my book.
All right, yeah. You found a spot which you made yours and your daughter's, right? Which was later copied by some other people, I believe. Yes. Having read your book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the pictures and I thought, wow, comfortable sitting there, my spot. Oh my goodness. And of course, I'm sure if I spoke to your daughter, she should have been obviously so proud of mommy, right?
Yeah, she's so proud now, really overwhelmed. Sometimes she just well up and start crying because she knows the story. And sometimes I look and say, what are you crying for? She just said, you've done so much and it's been so hard. And, she says, I inspire her so much.
Of course. And she feels the pain that you've gone through, because she a lot of times parents probably tend to overlook the fact that the children feel the pain that we feel.
That's true. Yeah.
And likewise the joy that we feel. So although we'd like to shield them from it, it's almost impossible. So that memory of going to Buckingham Palace and getting that medal to put it around your neck or wherever you put it.
It's been pinned. It's a
right.
Yeah, with a ribbon and
And who was the person at the time that pinned that on you?
It was the lieutenant. It's one of the lieutenants that.
Oh right, yeah.
But we met Charles and Princess Anne.
Okay.
I think I've got a picture in the book as well of Yeah.
So you mentioned your book, which I've read, it was great reading that. When I say great, it covers so much, and some of it is quite deep, shall we say? But it really gives a good broad brush of your journey. So why did you decide to write a book?
I've always wanted to express my feelings, and sometimes I felt that I couldn't my literacy and the way I talked, I just felt like I couldn't get out what I wanted to say. And sometimes I felt like people was ignorant and not listening when I want to talk to people. And I just felt like I had a lot that was inside of me, you know, sort of screaming to get out and to say how I was feeling and how I find people. You know, sometimes people say they care and they're listening to you. We all have our little individual problems. But when I say I'm somebody who I really care, if you tell me that you have a problem and I can help you, I really will help you. And I do care. But you find that people, they just want to hear your business and that's it, and run off with it. But they don't really want to have anything to do with what you're talking about. And I think when people see you having a business, they think you're rich. I thought that about other people before, that when you have a business, you're rich. I remember when I said to my accountant, he says, "Oh, you've made such much profit." And I said, "Well, where is it?" I said, "Where is the profit?" He said, "Well, what did you think you pay your staff with and the food?" And I went, "Oh, the profit. I thought I was going to get extra money on top of that."
Yeah. A handful of notes in your hand. Take home.
Yeah, and I just said, "Well, I didn't get anything." He said, "But you paid your staff." And I went, "Oh, you know, people think that you've got money."
Yeah.
And since I had the business, I realized how people just dropped away from me without a cause. You know, my friends, and you know, having a business and having a good friend, close friend, and they only been down here. I've been here 25 years, and they've only been here twice.
Well, so-called friends.
Yeah, if that. So I decided to write the book to say what people are, you know, how I was feeling. And just to say that, you know, if you are determined to do something, just carry on and do it. Don't let anybody stop you. And then part of it was my my relationship as well, nearer the end.
Very well, actually. You did very well in putting that out there and writing that. I commend you, because a lot of people think about doing these things and they don't do it. And I think when you do these sort of things, oftentimes it's quite therapeutic to actually get this out of your system, get it down, and, you know, and it's there for whoever wants to see it, read it and understand it, especially anybody who call themselves friends of yours in the past, you know. So it's fourfold, you writing that story, and I really enjoyed reading that.
Thank you.
Because, you know, sometimes you think you know people and you don't. And then you touch on your personal side, and I mean, you know, you put quite a bit in the book there, and really, that really told a lot, you know. So, you know, it's good on you to actually do that and get it out there, because there will be other people who read that and it will help them. Because should you stay as you are? Do you do something about it? Do you move on and whatever? And you've written it in there well of what you can do and achieve, you know. So very well done and all of that. So how is life, I mean, at the moment, in terms of kids and, you know, all of that?
My daughter's doing really well, and you know, we're very close. I also thought I had a very close relationship with my son, but at the moment it's a bit hilly with me and Dad parting, you know. So
Okay.
we just have to see how that works out, you know. But he will always be close to my heart. It's my son, it's my firstborn. And when he was growing up, oh, we were so close. There's nobody could come nowhere near mommy. You know, he was just such, and I remember when he said to me, "Mommy, when you grow up, I'm going to look after you, you know, I'm going to look after you." I never forget that, you know. But my daughter came along and we grew quite close. But the reason why I'm so close to my daughter, more so than my son, but I would do just as much for my son, is because she works with me. You know, she did a work placement here when she was 16, and she's 35, and she's still here. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's her commitment to me, not to see me suffer and to support me as much as she can. So she could have gone and get her own career and did something else, because she said, realistically, this wasn't what I would have chosen to do as a career. She said, even now, she didn't even know what she wanted to do because she just landed in it. And she has worked hard, you know. I mean, what she trained to do, she was a footballer and coach. Played.
She was a
City.
footballer, your daughter?
Yeah, yeah. At the time, she played with Karen Carney, Anuka, you know, some of the other big ones now commentating on the TV. She's still known.
So sorry interrupting you. What level of football are you talking about here?
She played professional women's football.
Oh my goodness! What?
Yeah, Aston Villa, Coventry, Charlton Ladies. She played quite for a few of the team, I think, and she's at Birmingham City. There's a picture of her on the wall of Coventry, and she played for Birmingham as well. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's a time when football wasn't paying anything. Now it's being recognized. I mean, she's old, she's too old now, but her daughter's playing as well now.
Oh my goodness, your grandkids playing football. Oh, yeah. That's great. I never saw that coming at all. Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, that's a strand that we can cover at another time. Yeah. Please tell her that. We need to cover that strand. I love that.
Okay, I will.
Yeah. So tell us about your charity work. I believe you do some sort of charity work as well.
Yeah, we registered a company about 9 years ago. It's called Community Flow.
Okay.
Whereas what we do different projects every year. We open it out to the community. So we did organic food, grow your own. You know, we had funding from the lottery funding. So yeah, we applied for funding 3 times and we got the funding. You know, you just put a bid together, which we did in-house. We did our own little bid and put it together with help from our staff and you know, my supporting IT staff who's no longer with me, but we did it and we got the bid. So we'd open the door to the community and we'd put stalls on, bouncing castles, stage, musicians, and we just open. I mean, the last one we did, COVID was the one that sort of closed it all down more or less, but the last one we did, we had 600 people in the garden because we did a ticket count.
600
people,
and that's on the grounds of your premises there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's superb.
And we used to support the church, the local church. I mean, my dad used to go to a day center and they used to play dominoes, so we set up a tent specifically for them. So we had the elderly. Oh, it was amazing. I mean, the churches were asking, when are we going to start back? When are we going to start back? But with COVID, a lot of people who used to come, the elderly, have passed away.
Yeah.
Including my dad, passed away.
Oh, yes, of course, your dad. Yeah. That's it was a wonderful, I have to say, attending your dad's funeral was a blessing, because listening to the testimony from all of you, you know, wow, it was a funeral, but it was the love in that room or in the rooms, whichever way, at the church or you further later on down in the reception, was just fantastic. It was a privilege for me to be there.
Oh, thank you.
You know, really, really very, very good. So excellent. So have you got any future plans that you can talk about, want to talk about? Any more plans?
Yes, I have got a few more plans, but where I'm at the moment, I've got to pass a certain period because of what's going on in my personal life for me to even express some of the stuff that I'm planning to do. I do want to do a book launch, my book launch. I'm looking at doing that soon. I wanted to do it on Women's Week, which is in March, and I wanted to plan that. I've actually seen a little rustic building because I wanted to do it like a cafe style. I've got, you know, and some jazz music and stuff like that. And then I want to launch, then sign, do some book signing and some giveaways. Yeah.
You're really a thinking outside the box person, aren't you? I can hear you jazzing up that book launch and everything, you know. Wow, wow. I will definitely like an invite.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, listen, the journey that you've taken us on is just amazing. And I know there's much more in your life and believe there's much more to come. You know, I really want to say a big, big thank you for sharing that with us, and I say us, the public, and all of that sort of thing. And I wish you all the very, very best going forward. And I believe that you will achieve, got a lot more to achieve going forward. You know,
you know,
fantastic.
yeah. I have to mention though that without my faith, because if you see in the book, it's got scriptures as well that sort of helped to carry me through. Because when I broke down, you find yourself that there's no one to turn to, there's no one to talk to.
Right.
That really wants to listen. And when I say that, that's what pushed me with the book. When you want to turn to somebody to talk to, it's they talk for a period of time and okay, then you take care now, and it's like it's just shut off and you just shut to sort the problem yourself. So I found myself wasn't even taking phone calls, especially in the partnership split with my business partner and stuff. I would see the phone ringing, I wouldn't take phone calls, but I turned to my Bible, and the Bible and the scriptures and the words, I actually could feel that God was speaking to me. And without my faith, I don't think I would have made it this far. I'm not saying I don't think, I know I wouldn't make it this far without my faith. No way, no way.
Wow, wow.
And the faith kept me going and took away fear, and
Yes,
fear is
yes,
one of the biggest killer because of stress.
yes,
I just
yes.
had to get up and say, you can do it. You can.
And
Yeah.
you have, wow, commendable.
Thank you.
And, like I repeating myself that anybody that reads your book will see that you've gone through a lot, but because you believe in yourself and believe that it can be done, you have done it. And, I wish you all the best going forward because I know you will achieve more.
Thank
Brilliant.
you. Thank
Have you got any questions at all for us, the forgotten generation?
Yeah. Why did you decide to write or to pick up the Forgotten Generation? Or, even the title itself is brilliant. And where did you get that from? Was it you created that title?
Yeah, quite a few questions there. Let's say the title, because I was thinking about a title and talking to different people. And the word generation was there, and there's some people mentioning a lost generation or whatever. And then my wife says, why don't you just call it the forgotten generations? So it was a combination of my, and the wife. And because as you do, you listen to people and, but you take what you think is best and take it forward. So in the end, I thought, you know what, that sounds really good, the forgotten generations. But in answer to your first question as to why it started is that I too was a child who was left behind by my parents at a very young age. In the sense of I was 4 when my daddy left me in Jamaica, and I was 7 when mother left. And I didn't see any of them again until I was 13. So I was very much a mommy's boy. I mean, I loved my mother. So when she left me when I was 7, I felt so segregated, like I was ripped apart. And I couldn't wait to join her again. So even though I didn't see her for all those years, the moment we met again, it was just like we never left.
Oh.
So that happened obviously to all the children because I've got, there were 5 of us all together. And then I wrote the book, my book. And once I've written the book, I looked at it and I thought, you know what happened to me must have happened to quite a few people as well. The question is, what happened to the children left in the Caribbean or Africa or wherever How did they get on? And then, of course, the same question to the adults. What happened to them when they go to pastures new, trying to earn money for their family, etc.? But whatever the reason was why they left. So that big question mark is how I formulated the Forgotten Generations. Then I decided to take it further and look at the contributions that's been made by Black people to Britain that's largely forgotten.
Mm.
And that's militarily as well as civilian. So having spent time in the military many years, fantastic career. I started looking into that as to World War I and II. And then I looked into civilian life as well, like people like yourself who's gone out there and achieved what you've achieved. And I thought, you know what? We need to get this in the curriculum as a fixed part of the national curriculum, our history as Black people. Because there's so many people who have no idea about what Black people has achieved. So let's get it out there. Let's get it in the national curriculum so that everybody's history is taught.
It's a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Because I read your book. So I was
thank you.
I was surprised as well when you said when you was left at such a young age, you know, and then so long before you was reunited back with Mom. That must have been heart-wrenching.
Yes, because I just, you know, when I was young, my mother couldn't leave me anywhere. I would just cry all day until she comes back. I mean, like, seriously. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Mommy wasn't going to be here anymore. I mean, Daddy was fine. Yeah, Daddy's gone, but I still had Mother. But I guess by the time I was 7, I was not as bad as I was when I was, you know, younger. But it still was a wrench to think that Mother's gone. And I'm thinking, well, when am I going to see her again?
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, next year you're going to see Mother. Mother's gone. And although I was with my bigger brother and the others were elsewhere, there was still that missing family unit that Mother made, you know, and you're a mother, you know what that means, right? So I then thought, well, if I felt that way, what did Mother feel like leaving her children behind? So all of that is about what the Forgotten Generation is all about, telling these stories.
Yeah. And it's the same experience, like he says, there's a lot of people, because my sisters, my 2 older sisters with my mom had to leave them and then sent for them later on. So the 2 older one he had to be sent for later on. That's how we got, the 8 of us got to be together. That's my mom and my dad's children.
Wow. And that's another point. When the children that were left behind come to meet the children that are born here, it doesn't always work out.
No.
Right? So that's another thing. And the other point about it all is that what effect did it have on me being left and segregated from my family psychologically? And what effect has it had on the parents psychologically? And that's what I would like the Forgotten Generations to look into. Because sometimes when we have all our youngsters being somewhat, you know, in the public eye for whatever, guns and knives, some of these things may well lead to that.
Yeah.
So unless we look at the root cause rather than saying we're going to throw them in jails and prison, whatever, look at why they're doing it. You know, so if we can share this out there and, you know, we might get to the bottom of this, or even the part way to it, because, you know, you won't solve everything. So, you know, the Forgotten Generation is key to a lot of these things, hopefully. And I'm hoping that it will grow. And that's why I thank people like yourself so much for agreeing to be a part of all of this.
Not a problem at all. It's a brilliant ideas. What you're doing is great, because it's like I said, it's looking back to see what happened to people. Our families was torn apart to survive, you know. That was, it was so sad, and it's not even being recognized of what Black people did for Britain, you know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not recognized, but the negatives that
Oh, yeah.
that our now generation are going through are being
Yes.
highlighted, you know,
Yes.
and being publicized,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
which is sad. And I mean, look with the Windrush and stuff, it's
Oh my
ideal, is what they've gone through and stuff.
That is so sad. That is so sad.
Yeah.
But you know, I encourage people to become a member of the Forgotten Generations free membership and all that. And really and truly, what we're trying to do is build on that going forward, so that, you know, it's widespread, so the nation unites and make sure the government recognize our plight in trying to educate and make sure that the future 30 years down the road isn't the same as it is now. You know, it'd be a lot better for our children and grandchildren. Yeah.
Can I just ask you what, I've seen the pictures behind you and I've seen you before in your uniform, but I never knew what, so were you a pilot in the RAF? Or
I was an engineer.
you're okay.
I was an engineer that looked after assisted escape, survival, and life support. So when you fly the fast jet or a helicopter or even a transport aircraft, if there's an emergency and you need to escape, especially in a fast jet, then the ejector seat and all the stuff that's in it will one of the means of escape, the only means of escape. And my job was to make sure that you survive. So everything had to work first time, every time.
Oh, wow.
When you pull the handle of an ejector seat.
Massive responsibility.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, thank you. But well done yourself. And I really, really thoroughly enjoyed, again, reading your book and then speaking to you. So, you know, yes, thank you. And I'm sure we're going to connect further because, yeah, I'd like to visit your place and also your daughter's story. Wow. Love that. I'd love that. All right.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much. It was a privilege.
Thank you. Oh, and we catch up soon. Yeah.
You take care. Bye.